Welcome to the Military OZ channel. Well, in this video we will discuss the U.S. Navy awards modernization contract for USS Carney and USS Winston S. Churchill. BAE Systems has received an $83.5 million contract from the U.S. Navy to modernize the guided missile destroyers USS Carney, DDG-64, and USS Winston S. Churchill, DDG-81. The modernization work will be performed sequentially at the company's shipyard in Jacksonville. The contracts include options that, if exercised, would bring the cumulative value to $211.6 million. The USS Carney will be first in the shipyard, arriving in September 2020. The 23-year-old ship just returned from a 6-year operational period in Rota, Spain, and will undergo extensive repair and upgrade work that will take more than 400 days to complete. The shipyard will drydock the ship and perform maintenance of the underwater hull, renovation of crew habitability spaces and upgrades to shipboard systems. The modernization is scheduled to be completed in November 2021. The Winston S. Churchill will undergo a 390-day maintenance period when the ship arrives in June 2021. The shipyard's work aboard the 18-year-old ship will include dry docking, replacement of steel structures onboard and support of the electronic systems upgrades. The modernization of the Winston S. Churchill is scheduled to be completed in July 2022. The modernization work aboard the Carney and Winston S. Churchill is significant for our Jacksonville maritime team and important for the service lives and mission capability of these combatants, said Tim Sprato, General Manager of BAE Systems Jacksonville Ship Repair. The back-to-back sequencing of work is efficient and beneficial for our employees, our subcontractors and our Navy customers. BAE Systems Jacksonville Shipyard has posted jobs and is expecting to hire workers in a number of trades, including welders, pipe fitters, electricians, and painters, over the next 2 years to work on the 2 destroyers and for its ongoing repair and modernization work on other ships. The award of these 2 ships will also provide work for our team of subcontractor partners and third-party vendors in the port. Commissioned in 1996, the USS Carney is named after Admiral Robert Carney, who served as Chief of Naval Operations during the Eisenhower administration. The USS Winston S. Churchill is named after the renowned British Prime Minister and was commissioned in 2001. BAE Systems is a leading provider of ship repair, maintenance, modernization, conversion, and overhaul services for the Navy, other government agencies, and select commercial customers. The company operates 4 full-service shipyards in California, Florida, Hawaii, and Virginia, and offers a highly skilled, experienced workforce, 8 dry docks, marine railroads, and significant pier space and ship support services. 077-2020 USS Winston Churchill departs on deployment. Sailors aboard guided missile destroyer USS Winston S. Churchill, DDG-81, departed August 10 for an independent deployment to maintain maritime stability and security and ensure access, deter aggression, and defend U.S., allied and partner interests around the globe. Sailors aboard Churchill will also be navigating the continuing global pandemic, following strict protocols to keep the crew healthy while maintaining the highest states of operational readiness. All personnel assigned to the ship completed a minimum 14-day quarantine and were tested for COVID-19 prior to getting underway. This deployment comes in the wake of countless hours of training, maintenance, and practice. This team of teams has trained hard for the last year, preparing to go overseas and execute whatever tasking and mission sets come our way, said CDR Timothy F. Shanley, Churchill's commanding officer. This crew has very much taken extra steps compared to the typical Navy deployment, in having to take proper pre-deployment quarantine measures ahead of embarking the ship. Most recently, the ship participated in a rigorous task force exercise, TFEX, alongside other U.S. and other coalition ships. A scenario-driven training event, TFEX serves as the certification exercise for independently deploying ships and is designed to test mission readiness and performance in integrated operations. We are a front-line asset warship, expected to be combat-ready with the potential to conduct prompt and sustained combat operations at sea, said CDR Timothy F. Shanley, Churchill's commanding officer. However, this year is the historic 2020, and this crew has had to first adapt to being a COVID war by tackling the various challenges of keeping the coronavirus off our ship so we can get underway and properly execute the nation's bidding, on time. I am blessed to be the captain of such a fine crew of professional surface warriors, each with their different strengths. The ship is deployed with Spartans of Helicopter Maritime Strike Squadron, HSM-70. HSM-70 stands firm in our commitment to the mission, undeterred by the challenges imposed upon us by COVID-19, said Lieutenant CDR Mark D. Cummer, Churchill's air boss. Unique to the fleet, Churchill is the only U.S. Navy ship to have a Royal Navy officer assigned permanently to ship's company as a symbol of the partnership between the British and American navies. It is also the only U.S. naval vessel to fly a foreign ensign. The Royal Navy's white ensign is flown alongside the Stars and Stripes. Churchill is the fifth U.S. warship to be named in honor of an English subject. The ship, whose motto is, "In war, resolution, in peace, goodwill," was commissioned in 2001 as the 81st Arleigh Burke-class destroyer. Sudan welcomes first U.S. Navy ship visit in decades. U.S. naval forces are visiting Sudan for the first time in decades, following Sudan's removal from the U.S. list of state sponsors of terrorism. Sudanese officials cheerfully welcomed the missile-guided destroyer USS Winston Churchill at Port Sudan Monday. In a news conference, the top commander of Sudan's naval forces, Al-Nairi Hassan, described the visit as a momentous occasion. Hassan says Sudan is happy to receive the USS Winston Churchill destroyer. This visit is historic after 30 years of severed relations. The visit has big implications and represents the resumption of the Sudan-US relationship and the return of the warship visits. The United States removed Sudan from its list of state sponsors of terrorism in December, after nearly 3 decades of sanctions stemming from Sudan's support for al-Qaeda leaders in the 1990s. Officers from the U.S. African Command visited Sudan 2 months after the Trump administration lifted the sanctions, and they expressed an interest in military-to-military engagement. The visit by the U.S. Navy began on February 24, when the first U.S. ship in decades arrived at a Sudanese port. The Director of Maritime Affairs for the U.S. Navy's 6th Fleet, Rear Admiral Michael Bays, confirmed the U.S. and Sudan's interest to build a partnership between the two countries' armed forces. "The reason I'm here is because I want to learn more about your country and develop partnerships with your Navy," Bays said. "We have many shared values. I'm honored and humbled by the progress of the Sudanese people have made over the last couple of years to work toward democratic principles. We support that. But the main reason I'm here is to become friends with our Navy counterparts, and I look forward to working hand in hand." Simultaneous to the U.S. Navy visit, a Russian warship has docked